Buckle up as we hit the road and take a look at these 4 inspiring young women living tiny and truck campers. Up first is Lindsay, who lives in an Overland Explorer flatbed truck camper. Let's take a look.
Hi, I'm Lindsay, and this is my Overland Explorer X10 flatbed camper. I've been traveling solo for 4.5 years and in this rig for 2 years. So come on inside while I show you around. So as you walk into the left, this is my kitchen area. This is actually a diesel cooktop, and it doubles as a furnace when the lid is down. It actually comes from the marine world, very common on a lot of boats. I use this microwave more than I'd like to admit, but mostly because I do have a large power bank. We'll get to that in a little bit. And then up here is just like some storage for my dry goods and whatnot. And over here, I have a bunch of storage for dishes. And then I have a sink with 42 gallons of fresh water. We'll get to that as well. And a little extra counter space cutting board, a little electric kettle I use quite often for coffee and tea. And then I have a bunch of these tiny drawers. They're actually really narrow. I had to take a standard size silverware holder and cut it. Everything's just a little tiny in here. I have the top ones for silverware. This is like a equivalent of my bathroom drawer with toothbrushes, just because I don't have a sink in my bathroom. And then the rest is basically like toolboxes and other utensils. I have my garbage under here and just some other cleaning supplies. This is just a false panel, so you can see the plumbing of the sink underneath it. But I'm a big fan of the exterior of this as well. It's really easy to wipe down and clean. It's lightweight. There's not a lot of wood in the camper. I don't have to worry about much moisture management as well. This is my little dinette area. This actually folds down into a twin size bed. When I bought the camper, it actually had a bunk bed. You can still kind of see the holes from where the hydronic lift was. I don't have any children. I'm traveling by myself, so I don't have a need for a bunk bed. So we took that out, added some extra storage up here. I sanded and stained these myself. This is a quick, easy, cheap way to put some storage up here, kind of keep it open and more arid. This is a really cool piece of technology. Cruising Comfort USA, it's a 12-volt air conditioner. It's 8,000 BTUs. It pulls very minimal amps. I used to know the number. Can't think of it off the top of my head. But basically, when I'm running this AC in the sunlight, I have almost 1,000 watts of solar on the roof, and I'm about net neutral during the day. And then I have a huge battery bank that we'll get to again, and I can toggle it on and off throughout the night, running it off my battery bank, which is great for being in areas and in the summer with the heat. This really keeps the camper pretty cool. A nice convenient map of the US actually references this more than you would think. And this fun picture is actually called Girl Gone Skiing, which is funny because I'm girl gone glamping and I love skiing, so I thought that was appropriate. Underneath here is my gray tank, and underneath this area is my diesel furnace, my shower pump. I added this larger window as well, again to make it more arid and bright in here. And then this table, actually my dad manufactured a piece to extend it up. I work full-time from the road, so I'm able to have a standing desk, which is great. So back in 2016, I had been living in New York City and Chicago for about 5 or 6 years. And I just got sick of every weekend was just going out drinking. Where's the next club? What's the next best brunch spot? And I just wasn't happy. I didn't know where I wanted to live. It was over the city life. And I was visiting a friend in Austin, Texas. And if you've ever been to Austin, there are Airstreams everywhere. And I just started thinking, like, can I live in one of those? Maybe I can live everywhere. And I made a 6-month plan, and then 3 weeks later I bought an Airstream and threw that plan out the window. It was a pretty steep learning curve. I had no clue about 12 volt versus 110 horsepower. I had no clue about anything, hitches, receivers, towing. It was a steep learning curve. I hadn't had a vehicle, like I said, in 6 years. So I bought a truck to go with my Airstream, and then I actually stayed with my parents for about a month and just practiced everything, practiced towing, backing up, learned everything, sold probably 60–70% of my belongings, and moved into my Airstream. So this is my fridge setup here. It's a decent sized fridge. It's got a small little freezer packed full of stuff. It's all 12 volt run, so again uses minimal energy. and a nice little latch here that's a heavy duty, keep it closed while driving. Up here is like the motherboard of all the control panel switches. It took me a while to actually learn all of these, but now that I know it, it's second nature. I have a 2000 watt inverter. Pretty simple, you just turn it on there. That takes my 12 volt battery power, converts it to house power so I can use my microwave, I can blow dry my hair. Basically anything you can do with a house, I have a big enough battery bank to run that off of. And if you know anything about electrical wiring, they did a really neat job wiring this all up and tying everything off, labeling everything. I also have the control panel in there for Van Tech Life's on-demand hot water supply and an altitude sensor for my S-bar, furnace, bunch of gadgets up there. Over here's where my little closet area is. Little makeup drawer, about a 2-foot wide closet. It's all I really need. But it's compact and it's spacious enough for me when I'm getting ready. It's not a big deal. And then a little bit more storage up here. Again, that's where I have my blow dryer, flat iron. I do not pretend to be roughing it at all. I'm very much glamping. And I wanted to set this camper up to simulate a house as close as possible to set myself up for long-term success. So I really don't feel like I'm sacrificing that much when it comes to those type of things. Lots of shoes stored up there as well. This is my water tank. Like I said, it's 42 gallons of fresh water. It's internal. I do a lot of skiing in the winter. I do a lot of winter camping in sub-zero temperatures. This way, everything's protected from freezing. All the plumbing is that PEX stuff, so it does expand if I was to somehow have a reason that it gets frozen. Nice and simple there. And then in this cabinet, I have 4 Lion Energy 100 amp hour batteries, as well as my Victron 2000 watt inverter and my solar charger as well. So everything's tucked away in there. And this is like one of the big advantages of having the flatbed camper is all that space that you would normally lose with a sliding camper where the wheel hubs are in the bed of the truck, you gain all that space. So this allows this to be a true 4-season rig with the tanks being internal and still have a closet and other space as well. Welcome to my bathroom. So one thing that for me was a necessity was having a shower and a toilet. I guess that's 2 things. A lot of people do this lifestyle without it, and that's great. But again, I don't pretend to be roughing it. I'm very much glamping. So in my shower, I have removable shower head, which is great. And this toggles the water on and off to help me save water while I'm showering or conserve water. I have a 5-gallon cassette toilet, which I don't mind it at all. Some people don't love it, but I empty it every 4 to 5 days. I don't have to deal with many chemicals for it. I don't have to find specific sewer hookups. I can just dump it in a porta potty, which is great. My mom actually sewed these bags up for me for storage. Keep extra toilet paper, Q-tips, toiletries up there. I pull this little curtain when I do shower to keep this part dry. And then what's really nice is I just have this little easy accordion folding door. So again, lightweight, not a lot of hardware, trying to keep everything minimalistic and light overall with the build. And then I'm a big fan of this teak wooden shower floor, gives it a little bit of character. And again, all this fiberglass stuff, super easy to clean, mold resistant. I just wipe it down after my shower. And then I have this nice little storage shampoo, conditioner, shower gel caddy up here. And you can see I'm standing about 4 inches up off the floor. I'm 5'10" and I still have quite a bit of headroom in here, which is great because I do get a little claustrophobic, not in my camper, but just in general. So this is like nice and spacious for me. This is my bedroom. This is just a couple inches shorter than a queen size bed. And I love the height clearance in here as well. I can sit up here comfortably. Sometimes I work early mornings up here, can read books up here and not feel claustrophobic and cramped. So I really like, this is like one of my favorite parts about this model of the camper. I added this big window up front right here. Again, more arid, more sunlight. I love that I have a window on every wall of the camper. Being a female traveling by myself, if I hear a weird noise at night, I can see out every side, everywhere, every direction, and make sure everything's good to go. These 2 little windows here do provide a nice cross breeze. And then a buddy of mine this summer helped me redo and re-insulate this wood paneling here to make it a little bit more cozy. My dad fabricated this shelf here, which is great. I found these bins on Amazon, which are such an odd shape. I think they're supposed to be used this way, but it fits perfect for, otherwise it's just dead space up there in the nose of it. And in here, more storage for clothes. I have too many clothes. And I also have a custom made memory foam mattress to fit this size, which is very comfy. And I wanted it to be only like 3.5, 4 inches thick, again, to save space with the head clearance. I also have this skylight up here, which can be used as an emergency escape as well, which it just gives me peace of mind if there was ever a fire or anything happening and I couldn't get out the one door of the camper. I like having this. I can climb up on the roof, I can slide down the front window onto the hood of the truck if I need to, and I won't have any issues with there. I keep a little clicker for an alarm system for my truck right here next to my head when I'm sleeping in case I do hear anything. And if anybody's trying to break in or tamper with the rig, I can just set off the alarm, lights, horns, everything starts going off in the truck. Just a little extra safety precaution. I'm not really the best at interior design decorating, but my friend Christy is, and she kind of helped me. Little things like having a striped pattern go this way, give the illusion of everything being a little bit bigger, little offset color scheme. She was really, really helpful with that. Those are things that are not my strong suit. If something's broken, I can troubleshoot it and try to fix it, but when it comes to decorating, not so much. The bed in most campers or RVs also a lot of times used for storage. So when I'm driving, I'll throw my laptop, I'll throw bottles of wine up here just because they don't tend to fall off or move around when in transit. So right now it's nice and clean, but a lot of times you'll just see other things thrown up here. One thing that actually made it a little bit easier for me getting on the road is that I already had the working remote component. I've worked for myself for about 10 years. I started a logistics brokerage and I ship raw materials, import, export, full truckload, LTL shipping. I started my company on the East Coast, so the majority of my customers are on the East Coast and I keep East Coast hours. I really like that out here in the mountain time zone. I start at 6 and I'm done at 2 or 3. There's some days when work is slow and I can throw my laptop in my book bag and hit the slopes at like 12 or 1 o'clock out here and do the last hour of work remotely from a ski resort, which is fun. But I haven't found too many challenges with getting Wi-Fi or whatnot. I use a Verizon Jetpack hotspot and I'm on the phone a lot for work. So if I have cell signal, I have Wi-Fi. And then I just kind of map out the coverage zones and try to avoid camping in dead zones during the week when I need to be online for work. So my camper sits on a Ram 3500. I have a 6.4 Hemi engine. I get a lot of crap for it not being a diesel, but the 6.4 Hemi is a super reliable engine. I'm just about 13,600 pounds on the total weight, and I'm pretty adequate going up hills. It doesn't really struggle too much. I don't go too fast in this thing anyways, but I've been really happy with the Dodge overall. I redid the bumper, put on a Trail FX guard, and actually just used Plasti Dip to cover up all the chrome. I wasn't a big fan of the chrome that comes on these Rams. I still have some nice tow hook points up front, and then I added some fender flares as well. Just to kind of make it look a little bit beefier all around. And I'm out west a lot, so if I do hit anything crazy, an elk, a deer, my radiator and everything has a little bit extra protection on there. So one thing I really like about the flatbed chassis is I get 4 additional storage bins as well. Also, I meant to mention the extended cab gives me a huge back seat for storage, a bunch of gear back there, which is great. So in these storage bins, I have a backup my buddy propane heater, just in case my diesel furnace goes out, towing kit with jumper cables and whatnot, hitch to go in my hitch receiver. A few times I've had to tow like a motorcycle or something behind me, that's helpful. The whole camper sits on this tray, which comes right from the manufacturer from Overland Explorer, and it has 4 super strong mounting points. There's normally 4 electronic camper jack legs on here. I took those off and left those in my parents' barn because they're just wind resistant and they add like another couple 100 pounds. But otherwise you could just lower each leg and release the clamps and lift the camper up, drive the truck right out from underneath it, which is great. That was a huge component for me buying this rig, was that the camper comes off the chassis. It's so much better for resale in my opinion. This is fiberglass. Everything I've put into it is going to have it hold its value or even increase its value over time. A truck, like any other truck, is just going to depreciate. So that was like a huge selling point for me. When I bought the camper, it didn't have any steps. It had like your typical big heavy steps that takes a while to put in, pulled out. So my dad, being the welder that he is, designed and engineered this little flip step, which is super easy, lightweight, it's sturdy, And if I'm in and out of the camper at like a truck stop or have to run back there to use the bathroom or whatever, it's so easy to get in and out. It is a pretty big step up, but again, I'm tall, so I'm happy with it. It is a little bit challenging in ski boots though, I will say that. So the back of the truck has 2 storage compartments. This weatherproof box that came with it, where inside I have a high lift, some extra propane bottles for the backup furnace. And then this is actually a ski box that my dad also manufactured this, which is really helpful. I do a lot of skiing. This can actually hold 2 to 3 pairs of skis. Also my snow brush, which is important when you're out in winter. But it's waterproof, it's sealed, it's locked. My backup camera is actually drilled right into it so nobody can tamper with it or steal it. But this is like a huge lifesaver for me because I don't want to go any taller with storage on my roof. I'm already at like 11'2" on my clearance. So having this box in the back, super helpful. We also added this additional brake light strip because this box kind of came out and shadows a little bit of the brake lights. I want to be easily visible and seen on the road, so we didn't like skip any corners with that. Super easy, just plugs into your slot there for your camp or for your trailer tow. Up here, I don't know if you can see it, up here is the compressor for the 12-volt air conditioner. We mounted that on the back, which is actually pretty simple then for any kind of like maintenance and whatnot. It's easier to access there than inside. And then this ladder folds down. I don't know if you can see that. And on the roof, I have 3 solar panels. They're Jenko solar panels, they're 330 watts each. So just shy of 1,000 watts up there. And in the wintertime, I do have to climb up here daily, shovel it off to make sure I'm getting enough sunlight to power up my batteries. So out here is where my diesel tank is for my S-bar furnace. It's about a 3-gallon holding tank, which isn't much. In the dead of winter, I'm using almost 1 gallon a day. If I had a diesel truck, I could tap into that auxiliary line. But again, I have a gas truck, so maybe someday down the road that will change. This is the drain for my gray water. Super easy to access right there. And then more storage. I just keep my water hose in here. I really like the zero gravity hose. You don't have to deal with the hard plastic hoses in the wintertime, wrangling them to get them back into a small box. And then right here, super simple, it's where I fill up my water tank. If I'm at a campground or somewhere and have a city water inlet, I could put that there. And what's nice about my hot water system is that it is on-demand hot water. It heats glycol, which wraps around my hot water line. So you turn the faucet on at any point, within 5 seconds, you have hot water. If I'm connected to city water, like 10 people can take a shower in a row. As long as you have water coming, you can take hot showers, which is really nice. This is just super easy, 30 amp plug-in. I've actually never had to plug this camper in, almost 2 years on the road with it. My solar panels and my battery bank are just so robust that I haven't had a need to, fingers crossed. This is where you can access the 5-gallon cassette toilet. It's really simple. I actually just emptied it earlier today, so it's empty right now. You pull it out, just like a traveling suitcase. It has this little arm, you extend it, it has wheels. You flip this up, take the cap off and you dump it. There's a little button for airflow, makes it really easy. About 60 seconds down the drain, you're good to go. It does get a little heavy when it's full. It's probably close to 40 pounds. So every, like I said, 4 or 5 days, I dump it. And just more storage here. I have some extra rotor packs for diesel just because the diesel tank isn't that big. Those are just kind of for emergencies. If I'm out camping, skiing somewhere without a diesel supply, I have some backups. All right, so we're up here on my roof. I actually come up here more than you would think. You can bring friends up here, have a drink up here, have dinner up here. Gorgeous background. This is the top view of the emergency escape skylight. I had 2 other skylights that we had to insulate off just to get the maximum coverage for solar panels. I added these little grip stickers. Typically I try to keep my center of gravity a little bit lower when it's icy up here or when it's windy, but it's a great way just to chill out and take in all the views. At least once a week, somebody reaches out to me online and asks me, how can I do what you're doing? How can I get on the road? And what I always tell people is just to commit to it, just to do it. A lot of people, they're building out a van for 6 months, 8 months, a year, and I'm gonna do that someday, I'm gonna do that one day, I'm gonna do it when I retire. I say just do it now because you're not gonna regret it. And you don't need everything to be fully done and perfect to start it. I think a lot of people just, they set these hurdles up for themselves and they just keep pushing back that starting line. I say just do it. You're gonna figure it out as you go. And if you do it for 3 months, 6 months, a year, it's gonna change you, it's gonna shape you. I don't think you're gonna regret it. Even if you find out this lifestyle isn't for you, I think you try it and you're gonna come out better on the other side. I hope you've enjoyed seeing a little tour of my tiny home. I'm happy to answer any other questions you might have. You can find me on Instagram. I'm Girl Gone Glamping. If you ever need anything shipped commercially, imported, exported, you can contact me on there as well, and I'm happy to help you out with that through my logistics brokerage. I hope you guys enjoyed it.
I'm so impressed with how Lindsay has set up her home to suit all of her needs. Up next, we have Valerie, who lives in a custom four-wheel camper with a pop-up roof. After serving in the Navy for 8 years, Valerie decided to hit the road full-time. Let's watch.
Hi everybody, my name's Valerie and this is my truck camper that I live out of full-time, and it's also a work vehicle. This is my kitchen area. I have a 2-burner stove that runs off of propane. I also have a sink, and it's a 20-gallon water tank, which is plenty for me to last me through the week. I added a soap dispenser just because anything that I don't have to put away while I'm driving is ideal, so I added that on there. This is my fridge. It's an 85-liter fridge, which is about twice the amount of space that I had in my last rig. And I'm trying to decorate it with little doodads that I've gotten from traveling. Anytime somebody gives me a sticker, I try to collect it as just like a little memory. And in this drawer right here, I keep my 100s, which is something that I'm going to use every day. So I've got avocado oil in there, I've got salt and pepper, I've also got face wash. It's just like a big mix of things that I'm going to use almost every single day. And then in this drawer, I have my toothbrush, toothpaste, silverware, knives, random things that I'm not going to show you because it's cluttered. This whole truck pops up. So from this area right here, whenever I'm driving, it's closed down. So I'm kind of like this, but I do pop it up, and I have my windows right here. I'll show this to you. So I have one section, I have them open right now because it's warm, but if I wanted to, I could just have a window, and then I could also close it from there. And then this gray layer is actually what they call a thermal pack. And it's perfect for winters and summers to kind of help keep the camper cool. But it's a little bit warm in here, so we're gonna leave her open. Opening this thing has been a bit of a challenge because I have solar panels on top, so it's a little bit heavier. But there's 2 areas that I actually pop this camper up on. So I pop up the back area right here, and I pop up the front. My whole bed is totally inaccessible whenever I'm driving, so any of my storage underneath I can't get to. I've got 2 fans, which is really nice. I actually use the fans to help pop down the camper because it suctions out the air and it helps kind of release it down, which is really cool. I also leave the door open because it creates like a suction. And I didn't know that the first time that I had this camper, and I had my door closed and I was struggling for like 10 minutes trying to open up this camper. But now I've learned the hacks of being a truck camper girl. This is my dinette area. I have a table that I actually covered with a cushion because I didn't like the color and I wanted it to be green. This also drops down into an extra bed if I were to have a friend come by. This pretty much is going to sit on these black struts right here, and then these cushions drop down, so it's a nice little bed space. I have storage underneath these 2 cushions, so that's my main storage areas. So on this side I keep all of my work supplies, so I carry a bunch of batteries and power boxes, banners, stuff like that for our company. So all of that is in this one. And then I have my camera equipment, my pantry, snacks, and then underneath I've really just been keeping the things that I want to access all the time right down here. So a lot of my beauty stuff, I just put it right here because I can just grab it and go. Helps me do my skincare a little bit easier. I keep Diesel's food down here. I keep my vacuum cleaner right here because it's very sandy here on the beach in Mexico. So I've been using that every single day. I have my seasonings right here because I use those almost every day when I cook. And I also have my art supplies and a hammock back here. I really like to paint, so I try to keep that front and center, partially as decor because I just like the artist touch, but also because I use it pretty much all the time. I've been feeling really inspired down here. So one of the paintings on there I actually painted of one of the beaches that we were at. This right here is actually the part that folds down whenever I'm packing up my camper. So I have a little button up there and I take this, unplug it, and then this whole thing drops down, and then that is what is going to close my camper. Whenever I do drop it down, there's a latch up here, and that's what I latch into there to keep everything pretty much locked and flushed. And then whenever I'm driving, all of this just gets put on the floor because otherwise it'll fly all over the place whenever I hit one of these speed bumps. I was in the military for 8 years. I was in the Navy, I was a corpsman, and I was starting to feel really burnt out. And all I've ever wanted to do is travel. It just has always been in my heart and soul that I just wanted to go and see other places. And I was actually going through a divorce around the same time that I decided to get out of the military. So both of those happened within about 2 months of each other. So I got divorced, I got out of the military, and I bought an 18-foot travel trailer for $8,000, and I took my dog and we started traveling all across the country. And I really discovered the healing benefits of nature. My time in the military was very exhausting for me, and I feel like bringing myself back into nature and centering myself has healed me very much so. This is my bed space. It's a queen size bed, which is pretty big for me. I was used to living in a twin before this, so it's a ton of space, but it actually pulls out into a king if I wanted to. And I got extra cushions, but when I was showing this truck to my work, I actually asked if they would keep the cushions because I don't need a king size bed and it's just me and Diesel. So we keep it as a queen, and my favorite feature about this is actually the hidden storage space underneath. So if I open this up, I have my whole closet and I have everything lined up and organized for the summer months now because we're in Mexico and it's warm. So I just switched out all of my cold weather gear for some warm weather stuff. All of this is pretty much organized from bottoms and long sleeves to my bikinis and cover-ups, tank tops. I have a lot of overalls for some reason. So I have like 8 pairs of overalls over here, and then I have all of my shorts, dresses, stuff like that over on this side. And then I have 2 little skinny cubbies that just have like random electronics that I haven't figured out where to put. Underneath here is where all of my electrical systems are. So I have pretty much all of my panels, everything that I need in case something were to go wrong, if I need to do any fixes, all of that's accessible right there. I also keep some bags full of just random wires and charging cords, anything extra that I need that I might need to access. My little treat bag for Diesel whenever we're going on our walks. Up top, I have my disco ball, but I never forget to put it away because this is actually a part of the system for kind of closing down this camper, dropping down the top, we'll say that. So I basically just unpop this and I pull this forward, and this bar will go all the way to right here where the disco ball is at, and then I click this in and it locks. So that's how it sits in the down position. So I always remember to take my disco ball off and put it somewhere else because it's right where I need to place this. And I added a couple of fairy lights just to kind of sit above my bed whenever I'm hanging out up there. I like the warm lighting in here, and all of my lights that I have in my camper are kind of that cool tone. So I've been adding my own, like I've got some puck lights here, stuff like that, just to kind of warm up the area. So I want to show you how I get my dog into bed because obviously the bed is very high. So first I have him hop up here. Come on up, baby. Can you hop up? Hop up. Good, good. And then he puts his paws right here. Good job. And then normally he maneuvers himself just a little bit. Good job, baby. Do you hop up? There we go. And then I give him a little boost. And then that's how he gets into bed. Right here, I actually have my toilet underneath, so it's nice and covered, so nobody actually has to look at my toilet. I have a cassette toilet in here, so everything pretty much goes into what I call a poop case, which is like a suitcase that carries your poop. And on the outside, there's an opening, so I can slide that out. I take it to a dump station, dump it, and then put it back in. So it's a great setup for me. I'm a little bit spoiled with a toilet, I know, but I like it. It's a necessity for me, in my opinion, and the cassette is super easy to work with. And then right here, I just have a couple of my extra things. I have my business cards that I keep for Dakota Lithium right here, just because I'm always getting stopped and asked about the truck, so it has a discount code, so I just pass it out whenever. I also have my stickers here, so I just keep that easily accessible for anybody that asks about the truck. I also have some more of my art supplies, a bunch of paints, a couple of my paintings here. This is my battery setup. I have it covered right now because it's all behind plexiglass for any of our overlanding camping shows, anything that we go to where I'm showing off the rig. I want to make sure that I'm protecting the plexiglass here. So right here I have 3 135 amp hour batteries that are in parallel, and that runs all of my electrical systems, so my fridge, my lights, my furnace, my fans, stuff like that. And then I also have another battery that's a 280 amp hour battery that runs my inverter. Because I work for Dakota Lithium, these are our batteries in here. We had to show off with a bigger energy setup. The cool thing about this rig is that I can go a very, very long time without ever having to recharge, partially because of all of the amp hours in here, but I also have solar, which is keeping my batteries recharged. So I have 320 watts of solar. I also charge off of my alternator. So since I've been down here in Mexico, I've gone 3 weeks and 3 days without having to recharge, which is a very long time for a rig, especially considering my last rig, I was having to recharge like every single day. Now let's take a look at my 280 amp hour battery. This is my 280 amp hour battery. This is what is powering my inverter. My inverter is really awesome because it allows me to use my outlets right here. So I've been charging my phone all day, every day. I have my Starlink right here. So I've pretty much been keeping that on all the time. I don't really have to conserve power because I'm getting so much back with the sunlight off of my solar panels. So this has been really awesome because whenever it's cold, I'm able to use my heating pads. I have a heating pad that I use. I used a heated blanket and I just plugged it into my outlet. So I've been a little bit spoiled with the inverter, but like I said, Dakota wants to show off the systems. We want to have as much power in here as possible to really show people what our batteries can do. So this is perfect for me. I was actually living off of savings when I had my travel trailer, and I knew that I needed a job. I was trying to make way on social media, see if I could get, some money through that. Wasn't very successful. And I ended up looking up overland jobs, and I found this job with Dakota Lithium. So I am the sales, marketing, and event coordinator for Dakota Lithium. Basically, my role in this truck is to drive it to different trade shows, overland expos, camping expos, any outdoor shows like that, have the rig there with the batteries on display to kind of show off the capabilities. So I am going to be traveling to different trade shows all across the country, and then the rest of the time, this is my house. So the camper that I have is a 4-wheel campers, and it's a Granby model. The Granby model is a flatbed, so it has all of these storage lockers on the outside, which I love because I can have all of my tools, recovery equipment, medical gear, anything that I need that I don't necessarily want to store inside, I can have it on the outside. I have it all right there. So I've got my toolkits in this one. I have my drills, some of my oil change equipment, toe straps, stuff like that. This is where my gas goes. This releases any extra water if I have to drain my water tank for the winter, but I don't want to be anywhere where I have to drain my water tank or worry about my water freezing, which is why I'm in Mexico in the winter time. So this is where I refill my water. So I have my plugins right here. This is for my gray water. It goes all the way down. We're hiding the gray water tank because it's ugly, but I do have all of my gray water being captured into a tank underneath here. All of this is just kind of the backhand part of my electrical systems, my furnace, fridge, stuff like that. This right here is for my outdoor shower, and it opens up right here. I just plug a little cord in here, and then I use it as much as I can when I can. It's a tough system, but I also have a shower inside too that sits right where my dinette table is. And it's just a little bit complicated for me trying to figure out the logistics of hanging the shower curtain and showering inside. So I've been sticking with the outdoor one. So I actually might hit that up today because it's been a minute since I showered out here. So this storage locker, I have all of my medical equipment. Actually, I was medical for 8 years when I was in the Navy. So I kept a lot of my med supplies, quick clot, anything like that, just in case anyone needs some help. And I always leave this one unlocked just for easy access. And then if you want, I can show you the storage on the other side. Okay, so this is the other side of my truck. I do keep some storage back here, but it's mainly batteries and it's also cluttered, so I'm not gonna show it to you. Over on this side, I have a jump starter, an extra gas can, everything that I need to change my oil or change a tire if something were to happen out here. I also have another water tank that's 20 gallons that comes with the flatbed portion of the truck. So I've been using this just to refill Diesel's water bowl, rinse off my feet because they've been super sandy out here. Over here is where my propane tanks are. And this is what I was talking about, that poop case inside. I open that up. This is the poop case. Of course, I have gloves front and center for whenever I need to empty that. And moving on to this side, I have one more storage locker, and that holds my shower supplies. So that connects over to that other side. And then I have two ways to get into my camper. I have my fold out stairs, and then I also have this, which I actually got stuck in here, so I can't really get it out, but it's fine because it doesn't make a difference if it's sitting there or not. Don't buy into everyone's fancy rigs thinking that you need all of this stuff. If you want to do this, if you want to get out and travel, pack up your car for a weekend, grab the essentials, water. You're gonna figure stuff out. Don't focus so much on what all of the influencers have and their fancy equipment. Granted, it's great, and I have some things in here that I really love, but you don't have to have it. And if this is something that you want to do, just start off slow. You know, take a weekend, go out, see what you like, live out of your car for a little bit. There's nothing stopping you. Take it in increments, figure out what works for you, and then go from there. Thank you guys so much for checking out my truck. If you want to follow along with my adventures, my Instagram is The Happy Camper Girl, and it's Val and Diesel, this guy right here, who's my partner in crime. And I hope to see you out on the road.
It's amazing how many features Valerie has packed into her camper to make life on the road a reality for her. Up next, we have Emily. She left her job teaching elementary school to pursue her passion for teaching yoga. Moving into her truck camper has helped make that dream a reality for her. Let's check it out.
Hey, I'm Emily, and that's my rig. Welcome to the inside. This is my dog Remney, and this is the kitchen. We've definitely downsized, but I feel like I haven't really missed out on anything that I used to have in our apartment. We had so many pots and pans that we never used, and now we only have one pot, one pan, and it is absolutely everything that we need. So we've chosen to keep rice cookers and air fryers on top of our very limited counter space because it makes cooking so much more accessible in the rig, especially when we're really limited on the amount of storage space and how many pots and pans we have. The air fryer is really helpful when you're just trying to heat something up quickly, and the rice cooker allows for healthy eating on the road. The part of cooking that's a chore for us is dishes. It takes a lot of water to be able to do dishes. We've got 20 gallons of fresh water, and when we use that fresh water, it fills up our gray water tank, and that fills up really quickly, having to go to the dump, and the less water we use, the less we have to head back into town to empty and refill our tanks. We have our 2 stovetops here, and underneath we have all of our pots and pans. We've got kitchen towels and bowls down there as well. Up top we have all of our food storage, snacks, rice, pastas, all of the good things. And over under here we have Remney's dog food. Her food bowl and her water bowl are down there. And then we have our heater right here. It runs off of propane, keeps us super toasty in the winter. We started living in here in January and it was really cold at that point of year, so it's so nice to be able to have access to a very cozy, warm space. Up here we've got our fridge, and the coolest thing about our fridge is that it runs off both electric and propane. So we kind of twist it on and off whenever we're driving. We put it on electric so we're not worried about our food going bad. But the propane's extremely efficient. We can run this fridge for about 2 weeks off of one 5-gallon propane tank. And then when you open it up, we've got a little bit bigger than a mini size fridge. It keeps, as you can see, plenty of food in here. We have a freezer up top, so we even get some of our frozen foods up there. And that's why the air fryer is so good. Some late night mozzarella sticks in the air fryer feels like a true luxury. The majority of this layout is exactly how we bought it, but there's a few things that we added to it, and this is one of them here. This entire space was actually completely empty, and so we've now added this storage, and under here we keep all of Remney's extra dog food, extra sheets and blankets, and then down here we have some sleeping bags, and to be completely honest, I'm not sure what else. Welcome to the Dinette. This is a really cool area where I spend a lot of time hanging out, reading books. It didn't look like this when we got it. The setup was the same, but it kind of had really creepy tan cushions, so I hand sewed all of these cushions together, same with these curtains, and kind of made it a little nicer. Put some sticky countertop on top of this to re-up that as well, and painted the outside to a nice black color. We have this AC unit here that we can really only use when we're plugged in. We can't run our AC unit off of our solar, although we have never run out of solar, and it's really charged up. This AC unit just sucks up so much electricity. It is fantastic to be able to use in the summer because when it's really hot, this thing bakes in the heat. So to have access to something when we're able to plug in is really awesome. Underneath where I'm sitting right now, I have a Blue Eddy power source, and it's an all-in-one system that our solar connects to, and we run every single thing that we use electricity for, our air fryer, rice cooker, our charging our phones, any sort of thing like that. And up here, there's a sleeping bag and some other of my husband's things, and you've probably realized that I've been saying we a lot. I do have a husband, and he lives in here some of the time, but he's also a whitewater raft and mountaineering guide, and about 6 out of 7 days a week he is off living in his car, guiding adventures for other people, especially during this busy part of summer. If you met me a year and a half ago, I would have been an elementary school teacher living in an apartment with my not yet husband. A year and a half later, here I am, living in my rig, full-time yoga teacher, now married, but it's been a wild journey to get here. Being an elementary school teacher was absolutely draining my mental health. It was the worst that it had ever been in my entire life, and I knew that I needed a change. I was already getting my yoga teacher training, and I started taking myself outside every day just to practice my own practice. Through that, I taught my first classes outside and started my own company, Do Yoga Outside. I teach yoga full-time now, and to be able to sustain living as a yoga teacher, I need to live in a rig. I needed to make some sacrifices and some changes, and that's the choice that I made. My mental health is so much better than it ever was, even the fact that I live in this little truck here. Welcome to the bedroom. We've got a queen size bed here. That was one of the things that I very much needed as an extremely comfy sleeping setup. I love my sleep. This mattress is actually one of the most comfortable mattresses I have ever slept on. We bought it for this exact purpose, and I think I sleep better in here than I have ever slept anywhere else. The fresh air, the comfortable sleeping. It just feels like home. And then just to make it look super homey and pretty, we added these wooden slats to the top and stained all of them, screwed them into the roof, and make it look nice. We were able to build these back to storage units, and underneath the mattress like slides in just a little bit to be able to fully fit the mattress. We had really old creepy camp lights that had those little switches on them, so we did upgrade those, and now we've got these tap lights here. We have this skylight up here, which is one of my favorite features in here. I've actually in the middle of the night woken up and watched the Aurora Borealis right out of my bed. Welcome to our bathroom. We have a wet bath here with a shower and a toilet. Our toilet is black water, and we've got about 20 gallons, so it lasts probably 10 to 14 days. We have a hot water heater, so we turn that on about 15-20 minutes before a shower, and we can take a full, as long as we want, shower. We prefer to shower in our outdoor shower, actually, because our indoor shower collects all of that water and adds to our gray water tanks. So yeah, I think if we were to build again, we just would keep the indoor shower out, because between going to shower at gyms and showering outside, we really don't use it that much. Behind the mirror, we have some toiletry storage, and then underneath there's also a cabinet that stays completely sealed where we keep toilet paper and some extra things like that. We actually bought the truck and the rig in a combo off Facebook Marketplace for $15,000 from some guy that really only used it for hunting. And it looked like he really only used it for hunting. I think there was actually some deer blood underneath our kitchen table. So we fully gutted that and put in about $5,000 into the renovations. And that includes the solar panels that we have on top, the Blue Eddy that we have, new flooring, the slats on top of our roof, and all of those little touches. Almost perfectly $5,000. And then we hit the road, and when we hit the road, our transmission actually blew on our first trip that we had, so we had to spend a whole $5,000 more to be able to fix our transmission. We lived in a rental car for 10 days, and we really got our first view of what this camper life really is. A lot of people have concerns about a dog living inside a tiny vehicle like that, and you know, I'd agree with them if we were spending all of our time in there that it's probably not the best spot for a dog. But I can tell you that this dog has the loveliest lifestyle. You know, I wish I could trade with her. She spends most of her time outside and is running around the woods, and really the only time she's in her rig is when she's fully asleep. Welcome to the outside of my rig. I've built this outdoor storage box right here. It's winterized and waterproof to keep yoga mats, my skis, and other assorted outdoor adventure materials in there. We have our 5-gallon propane tank on the other side, and over here we've got some additional storage. We have our outdoor shower, and in that outdoor shower we also have our long extension cord for when we do have a spot to plug in. And then the other box is our hot water heater, and next to that you can see our freshwater fill-up. So when we do get fresh water, we open that, and then we are able to fill up our 20 gallons of fresh. Up on the top, you can climb up the ladder. We've got 400 watts of solar up there, plenty of sunshine here in Bend. We also have our stabilizers on each side. Unfortunately, we have hand cranks for each of them. We've built a drill bit that's able to use a drill to be able to make it a little bit faster. But if I were to change something, I would want some of those hydraulic automatic stabilizers. Being outside is what clears my mind and what fills my bucket most. So living in the rig and the career choice that I have really feed into me filling my own cup, and when my cup is full, I'm able to help other people fill their cups as well. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to come to a yoga class, doyogaoutside.org is the place to check that out. If you want to follow social media at doyogaoutside on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok is where you'll find me. I hope to see you outside.
Isn't it inspiring to see how going tiny helped Emily pursue her passions? Last up is Rachel. She lives full-time in her Overland Explorer backcountry camper on her Toyota Tundra. Take a look.
My name is Rachel, and I grew up in pretty rural North Carolina. This is my truck. She is a 2015 Toyota Tundra. I also do a lot of freelance photography and videography, and I'm also a content creator. Come take a tour. Something I really love about this kitchen is the bamboo countertops and the aluminum cabinetry. This camper was constructed for like very rugged off-roading, which I do quite often, so I really love that. I guess a con would definitely be it's not the biggest kitchen, but me and my pup, we make it work. Before living in this camper, we lived in my car for a year, so we're used to not having a ton of space. I have my little box of tea and spices and oil. I have an air fryer, which was one of the best purchases that I've made on the road. This is my sink, folds down. My sink also has hot water, which is super nice for doing dishes. Under my sink is where I keep all of my plates and pots and pans and forks and whatnot. And then when it's time to cook, I have two different types of stoves. I have this little butane stove that normally I cook in here. I also have a larger propane stove that I keep inside my truck when I want to cook outside. Over here, I have my 69-liter fridge freezer from Truma. I think this is like the perfect size because I can be off grid and stock up on food for like a week or two and not run out of food, which is super ideal. I have a 20-gallon water tank. It is under here. And I can normally last about a week if I'm conserving water. I have 200 amp hour batteries from Dakota lithium batteries. I have 2 solar panels on the top, and that keeps everything powered. My Starlink, my charging, my camera and computer and everything, my lovely air fryer. And this is the panel that controls everything. My power is from Victron Energy, and then for Truma, I have a Truma water heater, normal heater, and outdoor shower. I have a ton of exterior lights, which is super nice because when I'm camping alone and it's dark out, it feels a little bit less scary when my area can be lit up. My name is Rachel, and I grew up in pretty rural North Carolina, and I started traveling very young with my sister. I worked 2 jobs all through high school, and all throughout high school I would go backpacking Europe and South America with my sister, and that really sparked my love for travel. When I was 18, I moved to Brazil, which is where my family is originally from. I moved there at 18, ended up getting married, and I stayed there for 2 years, and the relationship ended like super sudden, and I kind of had to restart my life, and that's when I started living in my car. I lived in my Jeep Renegade with my pup for a little over a year until I got the truck. This is actually my 3rd truck camper. I lived in the back seat of the truck for 2 months, and then I got my first truck camper, which was a $1,700 camper, and it actually got destroyed in a windstorm in Mexico. So I had to replace that with my camper number 2, which was a Palomino, which was a little bit more of an upgrade, but it wasn't ideal. It didn't really fit my truck. I had that for about 3 months, and then a few months ago, I finally got this camper, which is like my dream camper, the 2023 backcountry camper from OEV, and it's been the perfect adventure rig for me and my pup, and I'm super thankful for it, and I love it so much. This is my workspace over here. I am a content creator and photographer. I also work for a marketing agency, so I'm constantly here working on my laptop. This is a swivel table from Laguna, and it's also a bamboo, which I love. This is my little couch over here. These couch coverings are waterproof, which is really nice for my dog that loves to get dirty. Underneath here, I have some more storage, which I normally keep my work stuff down there. Over here, I have these little boxes with my cosmetic stuff, and this is my little bookshelf. What I'm reading right now is Wild by Cheryl Strayed. It's just a very inspiring book. I watched it when I was a kid and really inspired a lot of my adventures. And also reading The Creative Act. If you haven't read that, it's amazing. So over here is my bed. It is a full-sized bed with I think 2 or 3 inches of memory foam. This camper is actually a pop-up, so it pops up to about 6.5 feet, pops down to, I don't know, maybe 4 feet. It's super easy to pop up and down because it's on gas struts. Same thing with my bed. My bed actually pops up and I have underbed storage for all of my clothes. That's also on gas struts. One of my favorite things about van life in general is when I get to park somewhere beautiful and watch sunrise from bed. So that window over there is an emergency exit. I can open it completely and enjoy a beautiful view without actually getting out of bed. I think that's one of the best things. Full breakdown of the cost of my rig, starting with the truck. I bought the truck last November for $28,000, but I did a lot of different upgrades to the truck. I upgraded the suspension, shocks, and upper control arms. That cost about maybe $8,000 or $9,000. I also upgraded the wheels and the tires, which cost about $2,500. And then the backcountry camper from OEV was about $55,000. For work, I do a lot of different things. Being a full-time freelancer, it's really essential to have a lot of different streams of income. My main job is I'm the director for a tech startup. We're called Popfly. I also do a lot of freelance photography and videography, and I'm also a content creator. This is my 2015 Toyota Tundra. She has a 2.5-inch lift by Dobinson's. I have 35-inch tires from Kenda and these awesome Sahara wheels from Nomad Wheels. I also had to update the suspension on my truck for it to be able to handle this camper. I updated the upper control arms as well. On my camper, I have this exterior storage, which I use for all of my dog's things. And over here, I have my propane tank, and I also keep extra little propane bottles and butane bottles. Over here is where I fill up my water tank, and over there, I have some extra storage on the side of my camper for more things. This is the 2023 backcountry camper from Overland Explorer Vehicles. I love this company because they make some of the best lightweight, durable campers on the market. They're designed for extreme off-roading, which I love taking my truck out on dirt roads and bumpy roads, so it was perfect for all of my adventures from Alaska to Mexico, all around the States. It's just the best camper. So it's super easy to set up my outdoor shower. First, I take this off and I turn my water heater on. I have to leave it for like 15 to 20 minutes. And then I plug in my shower right here, turn it all the way to hot. Oop. It's a little dusty out here. And yeah, outdoor shower. Staying safe as a solo female traveler has always been something that I have to keep in mind. Very often when traveling with my dog really helps because he's big and scary. Not his personality, but he looks a little intimidating. One thing I always do is let somebody know where I'm going, if I'm gonna be out of service for a while. I always try to prepare, read reviews of places that I'm going, and I think the biggest thing about staying safe on the road is always trusting your intuition. If something doesn't feel right, it probably isn't. For example, if I get to a campsite and I feel uneasy, I won't stay there, no matter, I won't discount it thinking I'm being dramatic. I just always listen to my gut, and I haven't had that many scary experiences on the road, knock on wood, thank God. But I think trusting your gut and listening to your intuition is a huge, huge part of it. And it gets easier as you travel more alone. Living on the road has been one of the most empowering experiences. I think most people are braver than they think, and if you just really go after it, you'll surprise yourself. So if you're scared to start living on the road, don't be. Just lean into that fear and do it anyways. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to follow along my journey all the way down to Mexico, you can follow my Instagram @Sunray, also my TikTok and YouTube @Sunray as well. See you on the road.